Thank you, Chris. I appreciate, he was talking about the farmer, and just looking at that video just brought back a lot of memories of when I grew up as a boy in Defeated and Ashhopper Hollow. Of course, we were tobacco farmers, and we didn't fool with cattle, we didn't fool with horses and those kind of things, but I can remember a time where we did a lot of farming. I'm on the agenda tonight. Of course, I've got to give the Smith County report, and glad to do that. I told Bill we needed to tell a couple of jokes, liven this crowd up a little bit. So, y'all, but it's supposed to be a fun time. It's a good time to be in Smith County, Tennessee. It really is, and I'm thankful to live here. And a lot of good things going on. But some of the things I wanted to share with you before I go into this PowerPoint presentation. Oh yeah, sorry, Kobe giving me the guide here. So, but I do want to take this opportunity to thank the. I was going to back up just a minute. This will be the last time that y'all hear me as at the Chamber of Commerce banquet as far as giving a Smith County report. And I know all of you know it. Those of you don't, you should know it. But I chose not to run again, and I have been blessed to be your county mayor for 16 years. But I want to thank the current city mayors, Mayor Donnie Dennis, which is here, also Mayor Milton Gibbs, as we know as Duck Gibbs, City of Gordonsville, and also Mr. Jimmy Wheeler, South Carthage City Mayor. I know that Jimmy and Duck are not able to be here tonight. But past city mayors, honestly, I have prided myself over the years of being able to get along great with the city mayors. And I can tell you for a fact, not every county is like that. Some city mayors and county mayors, they just fight all the time. You know, it's all about them. And here in Smith County, it's all about what we can do to serve the people. That's what we've got to realize. I think as servants, as elected officials, we got to get up every day and knowing we're here to serve people and make a difference in people's lives, and that's what we got to do. I want to thank Mr. Pat Geho. He's been a good friend, a good supporter of mine, and I'm going to get into what he's did recently to help me with the project. But also the Chamber of Commerce, thank them for what they do for this county. A lot of times I don't know that all their story is told. And I think a lot of times it goes unheard of, and people don't realize what the Chamber of Commerce does. They do a lot in our county and other counties. I want to thank all the county commissioners that are past and present. I don't know how many commissioners we have here tonight, but I know Mark is here, Bill is here. Other commissioners, or any other commissioners that I may have missed here tonight? I want to thank all of you for what you do to help me do what I do. And I tell people as mayor, you can't do any more than your city council will allow you to do or your county commission will allow you to do. The county mayors don't just have the authority, and the city mayors don't just have authority to do what they want to do. But I want to thank all of them. And I'll tell you something else that goes unheard of and I guess untold is the staff that I have. I've got the greatest staff that I have ever had. I've had some good ones over the years, but Miss Sherry Davis, Miss Daisy Denton, Miss Ginger Ramsey, and Miss Stacy Bush. They work in my office. There's been some changes in our office. One of the things we've done, we went to centralized accounting, and that don't mean much to you all, but we took two departments and combined those together. We're doing all of the payroll, all the bill paying, all of those things that would come about with the accounting through our centralized accounting office for the highway department and all the general fund. The only outside of that is the school department. They still do all of theirs, but it's helped to make things, I guess you could say, more concise, and it's really working out well for us. So I actually went from 3 people working for me to actually 2 people working for me. So I didn't really lose anybody, but I lost the ones that worked under my in my office. Also, I want to talk a little bit about communications. I know Mr. Chris Townsend is here tonight with DTC. I also work very closely with Miss Nancy White with North Central Telephone Company. I think that our cooperative, I think that we all need to realize going forward, there's still a lot of places in Smith County that do not have internet service and telephone service in some situations. So, you know, that's something we've got to look forward to in the future. But I want to announce to you, and a lot of you already know this, but DTC was actually able to get a $1.8 million grant, is that correct, Chris, from the state of Tennessee, and they put in their own money of $2.1 million, is that correct? So that's a total project for $3.9 million. It's going to serve Rawls Creek, Plunkett's Creek, and north of Watertown. So those are areas that I've been hearing those calls ever since I've been in office. We don't have internet. We don't have internet. So it's coming soon. And possibly 2019 is the way I'm understanding that, so this coming soon. Also, North Central Telephone Company, they got a $2.9 million, the grant and their portion was $2.9 million to serve the Riddleton area. And out of that, they're going to be able to serve other areas also. And I think that's very important. And I just want to give you a personal story, and I've told this 2 or 3 times. I've got a sister and a brother-in-law that live just a little bit above 4-way in community. Well, just in the last few months, I had a brother-in-law that got home from racing one night. He started having some pains in his shoulder. They decided to go to the hospital, sat in the parking lot for a few minutes, went inside the hospital. They run tests on him, said everything was fine. Well, about that time, he flatlined right there in the hospital. By the time I got to the hospital, they had already revived him. He was talking just like I'm talking to you all. But the scary thing about that is where they live, they used to have AT&T. They used to have the cab telephone, cell phone. Well, they decided they want to pay 2 telephone bills, which a lot of people don't want to do that, so they pulled their AT&T, and all they had was their cell phone service. Now, I understand why DTC did what they did, because financially they couldn't continue to do what they were doing with the cell phone service. So their cell phone service was gone. All right, now if they'd not made the decision to drive to the hospital, my brother-in-law would have passed away at his house that night, and they had no way to call 911. So that's how dire important it is that we make sure that we continue to do this. Chris, I call him sometimes daily, and he takes my call every time. And I appreciate him. I appreciate what he's trying to do for our county. And I just thank him for that. Last thing, but definitely not the least, I want to thank my wife for tolerating 16 years worth of politics. It's not been easy. I'm fortunate tonight I have my daughter with me, and also have my son-in-law with me, Lauren and Jake McCaleb, and my grandson, Jude McCaleb. I used to hear people talk about their grandchildren, and I thought that was the silliest thing I ever heard. They just go on and on and on about their grandchildren. Now I know exactly what they're talking about. It is a wonderful thing. Also, I'd like to thank my mom and dad. My mom and dad, there's something that's up tonight, and I think I know what it is, but my mom is here, my dad is here, and I want to thank them for they taught me well growing up, and just to tell you the truth about it, my dad didn't stand for not working. I remember one time he told me, he said, even if you don't have anything to do, don't stand around with your hands in your pocket. Make it look like you got something to do. So there's always time to work, and I think that's one thing that I promised when I ran for this office. I didn't promise not raise taxes. I didn't promise that I would make it easy, but I promised that I would work hard for you. And I think I can walk away and say that I've done that. And I've not made every decision perfect, and I'll be the first one to tell you. Also, I want to thank my son's not able to be here tonight, and we got an extra son, or my wife calls him our bonus son, a young man that's been living with us for a couple of years, and he's truly been a blessing to us. And so I want to thank Brian McCaleb and my son Matthew Nesbitt for being the boys that they are, the young men that they are. And my brother-in-law summed it up at a birthday party one time as he was saying the blessing. He thanked the Lord for having good children and children that did not cause us problems. And we have not had one bit of problem out of our children. I thank the good Lord for that. So I want to turn our attention to something that I'm really excited about. I don't want to worry your patience, but I think it's worthwhile to tell you. In 2009, this is when this project started. And right now, we have more jobs than we have people to fill those jobs. I think any employer here will tell you that. And we're trying also sometimes, not all young men and women, but the quality of workers here is not where we really want it to be either. And we have started a career day here in Smith County, and I say started, this was our 3rd year. In this same facility, last Tuesday, we had 1,400 students through this building in one day, 7th grade through 12th grade. We had 77 booths that were set up, anywhere from educators to job providers and even trainers. There was a barber school that was set up right over there. And actually, I wasn't even thinking about barber schools, but it gives them a lot of options that are out there. And I did not have that opportunity when I was going to school to see what was available. We have had airplane pilots, veterinarians, engineers, a lot of different people that have been here. Upper Cumberland's been very supportive of this program. So a lot of jobs are out there available. And I know that we really don't need any extra jobs right now because we don't have enough people to fill the jobs that we have now. The biggest thing we have that is challenging us here in Smith County would be a better paying job. Now, I'm not talking, I appreciate all the job providers, but I'd like to see us have some higher tech, higher paying jobs, and that's where we're going to focus on. But in 2009, and by the way, those are here from Gordonsville, I didn't come up with this owl here, I promise you. That's an Upper Cumberland emblem that covers 14 counties, but at least we're represented with an owl here in Upper Cumberland. But this is a presentation that I gave to the state of Tennessee, and just about 3 weeks ago, I gave a presentation to the state of Tennessee. Now, y'all got to understand, I'm from Defeated Creek, all right? I lived at the Ashrop Hollow, right beside of the Devil's Elbow. Anybody knows anything about where that's at? When I was going to give this presentation down there, there was about, I thought there was going to be 6 or 7 people in the room, and that's what I thought I was going to present to. Well, I get to Tennessee Towers, and I walk into this room, and it was a classroom, and there was about 30 people there. And as I give this presentation, I was a nervous wreck. And one of the statements I was supposed to make was the state of Tennessee is in dire need of rail sites. But instead, in my wisdom that I have, I said the state of Smith County is in dire need of rail sites. Well, everybody on that panel just looked at me like I had 2 heads, and I thought, I didn't mean to say that. And I said, there I am trying to take over the state of Tennessee with Smith County. So it kind of broke the ice and it made it a little bit better. But this presentation was put together, first of all, by Miss Jessica Farlow that worked with Tennessee Central, and then it was finished up with Megan Choate who worked for the Upper Cumberland Development District out of Cookeville, Tennessee. And I've got a big announcement to make here in just a minute. As a presentation I went, they've taught us in economic development, not everybody knows where Smith County, Tennessee is. I think everybody should know where Smith County, Tennessee is, but not everybody does. So we kind of focused it in. This is the United States of America, and Tennessee sitting on the southeastern portion of the United States. And then Smith County, of course, the highlighted area here, you see it. It's east of Nashville, sits right on I-40, so you kind of get that general area, and it gives some description of where it's at. This was in that presentation that I gave. And this was some of the statistics that we gave that day, and I won't go into those. I don't know that those are really important, other than the work-based learning grant that the Smith County school system applied for and received from Economic Community Development in the amount of $25,000. And what they're doing, they're developing a bus. They're going to take from school to school to school, and it's for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. When I took office in 2002, we were competing with other communities, other cities, other counties, and they had incentive plans and we didn't. That's kind of like going to a car lot and somebody offering a $10,000 rebate and somebody not offering one at all. Same car, I think you're probably going to buy it where the $10,000 rebate is. So we developed an incentive plan. Mr. Pat Geho helped with that. We got it passed by all the county commission, all 3 cities. We're all under this plan. Anywhere from a 5-year to a 10-year incentive plan. This is kind of some history of where the industrial park, you'll see right there was Bonnell in the 1960s. This portion of the industrial park, I know it says 70s, 80s, but Pat corrected me, it's more like the 80s. And then we had another section of the industrial park. That's where Tahoe and the second part of graphic packaging is located in that area. The area that you see here in outline in yellow, that's our next proposed industrial park. And that don't sound like much, but since 2009, we've been working on this. I got the first option on the Baker Farm in 2009, and I paid $100, or county paid $100 for a 3-year option. So we held on to that, we got it, we renewed it several times. Then there's a section of the property that's right here that's owned by Gordonsville Development. For a long time, they weren't real interested in selling, and that was kind of a holdup on this because all of the road frontage is right there on Rogers Road. You can't get to the Baker Farm unless you go through a residential area, and that's not what you want to do with the industry. But that has changed. A gentleman by the name of Joe McKnight, which is kin to the family, he's a real estate agent. I met him the first time, we hit it off, and we got things rolling. We now have a completely signed purchase agreement on the Baker Farm, and it's 102 or 3 acres for $1 million. And then the Baker Farm is 16.27 acres at $20,000 an acre, so that's around $320-something thousand. That gives you a better look at the site and its proximity to the interstate. You turn off interstate, go to Waffle House, you take a right, and you're right there at it, so you're just seconds off the interstate. TVA, They put together a master plan for us, and this is a setup. This is coming up Rogers Road. Whoops, I went the wrong way. Sorry, Kobe. This is on the southwestern portion of the property, 150,000 square foot facility or building pad. This would be a 200,000 square foot building pad, and this is a 100,000 square foot building pad. We're not interested in building a spec building, but we are interested in preparing for a building pad to put those facilities on. Below this road, there's a railroad that runs right through here. So this is a proposed rail site, and that's what I gave in the presentation there at the state of Tennessee when at the Tennessee Towers. All right, what got all this started, now we've had options on this property, but what got things started, TVA was so interested in this property, we had applied for a $60,000 grant to be able to put a road into this property. And out of all the years I've been the mayor and all the years we've been able to get grants, I've never had this happen. We applied for a $60,000 grant to put a road in. It was going to take another $40,000 of our match portion. We applied for it 2 times, got turned down. The grant writer said, let's go for it one more time. And I said, I'm not interested. They just begged me to do it the 3rd time, and I'm glad I did, because that one decision made a lot of difference. Whenever that they got it that 3rd time, they called and they said, we want to have a phone conference with you. And I asked the grant writer, I said, what do you think they're going to do? And she said, well, I think they'll make an offer. And I'm thinking we applied for a $60,000 grant, and they're probably going to offer us, 40 is what I was thinking, something they would cut it down. At the end of the day, they offered us $350,000 to help in the purchase of this property. And that got things rolling. When TVA is interested in Smith County in the tune of $350,000, that makes a lot of difference. So we got $350,000 from them to purchase this property. Also, I'm on the board of a place called Tennessee Central in Charleston County. It was set up for 5 different communities when the nuclear plant shut down. And it was supposed to promote economic development. For years, they focused on that park. And through the board and through some, some help with Senator Pody at the time, he was Representative Pody, got our attention, and we started using that money out in the community. So to tell you what that makes a difference of today, Senator Pody, it meant $101,000 to this project. So now we've got $350,000 from TVA, $101,000 from Tennessee Central. So we got $451,000 to help us in the purchase of this property. We've done all kind of due diligence. Anytime you buy a property, you better make sure that it bores good, it's got plenty of good soil. All of these places you see are soil borings that we've done on this property, anywhere from 11 feet to 35 feet. The shallower borings are on the lower topography on this site. We've done bat studies. You say, well, how important is a bat study? It's a lot more important than you would ever think. There's a lot of trees in this area right here that they call potential bat roosting trees. And if you take them down, you have to pay into a fund for every tree that you cut down. So we're going to try not to take down many trees, if you can imagine. But a lot of due diligence, wetland studies, environmental studies, a lot of things that went into this property. We were chosen by the state of Tennessee to do a property evaluation through Austin Consulting. We were one of very few counties in the state of Tennessee that actually got chosen on this project. We presented 8 properties. They narrowed it down to 5. The Baker Farm was in those top 5. It's actually one of the top sites. And it says that in this, I know you can't read it, but it says it's one of your top sites. But one of the challenges you have is the topography. Anybody that's familiar with Smith County, it's either, if it's flat and level, it's probably in a floodplain. If it's not in a floodplain, it's going to be hilly. So we knew we had some challenges with this property. As you can see in this slide, it has a lot of topography challenges. So we found out about a grant through the state of Tennessee. It's a site development grant, and that's the one I went down and made the presentation to. And we applied for $1 million. We've never had a $1 million grant. And today, I got notification this morning at 9 o'clock this morning, we received our $1 million grant. So, thank you. I know Larry will be able to add this up pretty quick, but if you add that up real quick, that's $1,451,000 that we've paid in some way, form, or fashion through taxes, other means that we're going to get back in Smith County. So I think that's a job well done. I think that the people that's helped put this together, and I say this, it's not me, but it's we that puts things like this together. TVA's been a great partner. Commission's been a great partner. The commission voted unanimously. Those that are here from the commission, I want to thank you for voting unanimously to go forward with this. We're set to close on this property on June the 30th or before. The timeline is close, and we're working on everything that we can. The last piece of the puzzle, we're going through USDA Rural Development for a $1.1 million loan. And that brings me to my final part. Of course, this just gives you a breakdown of the cost. But Pat Geho, where are you? I know you're here, but there you are. All right. In latter part of November, I asked Pat if he would be willing. I didn't know you had to do this. If you buy a piece of property for a jail, you buy a piece of property for a school, you buy a piece of property for a park, you just get the county commission to approve it. You send it to the comptroller's office. They approve whether you borrow the money or not, and go from there. It's just an approval process. But when you buy industrial property, you have to prove it's worth what you're buying it for. You have to prove that you can sell it. You have to prove that it is a good project. I didn't really know what we were getting into, and I asked Pat, I said, they were talking about this certified public purpose and necessity. Is that something you can help me with? He said, I've done 2 of them. I think I can do one. They're typically 200 to 300 pages. Guess how many pages ours is? 800 plus pages. I wish I had a picture of what you sent to me, Pat. But we delivered that on the 13th of this month to the state of Tennessee. They're reviewing it now. They're telling us to take about 30 to 60 days to go through the reviewing process. So Mark, if you can help me with that, that'd be much appreciated. And Mike, if you'll tell where Mike Weaver, where you at? He's already left. Tell Terry Lynn that we need some help there too. So, oh, there you are, Mike, thank you. Just tell Terry Lynn we need some help there too. But with all of that being said, what we want to produce here is a site that future people can stay in Smith County. They can live in Smith County, work in Smith County, and that is important because I know my son, he's got a good job, but my son leaves every Sunday and he comes back every Thursday, and we would love to have our son stay at home. And I'm sure there are a lot of people in this community who would love to see their children and their loved ones stay at home. We have about 46% of the people that actually live here that work here, and about 54% of the people are leaving this county to work somewhere else. So what we'd like to focus on with this property would be our higher tech, higher paying jobs. We want to try to stay away from warehousing and other things like that because those are low job producers, and we're going to market it that in that way. And whoever does get elected as county mayor, I wish you the best. I hope you do well with this project. And I think we've put you in a good spot to be able to do things good for the county. So just want to thank all of you for allowing me to be your county mayor. And as I said in my announcement, I'll be working as hard on August the 31st as I was the first day I took office. So God bless y'all, and thank you for your time.
This video has been brought to you by these fine sponsors.